This is TWiT.
Fear sells, especially in news headlines. So if you saw a recent headline about Facebook's chatbots creating their own language and Facebook having to shut them down before they took over the world, rest assured that was designed to frighten the pants off of you. I hope it did. But Dave Gershgorn from Quartz says Facebook didn't kill its chatbots because they were too smart. It killed them because they were too dumb. Welcome back to the show, Dave.
Thanks so much for having me back.
So talk a little bit about this panicky headline that we saw earlier this week.
Yeah, totally. So this was a story that actually came out in June. Facebook released this research that they had these little bots that they had trained to talk to each other, to negotiate over like basketballs, apples. And basically what they did is they showed them a whole bunch of conversations that actual people had negotiating over these fake digital objects, and they tried to get the bots to imitate what the humans had done previously. A researcher, Dhruv Batra, who was one of the main researchers on the work, had made a comment that the bots actually started making their own little code, their own language. And this kind of got spun way out of proportion because the code was completely illegible to humans. It was the same letters and words that you had seen the human before. They were just repeated over and over again, or it was in strange combinations that we didn't understand. So like I get it. Like it's naturally we think that like humans, that like robots are scary because they're so smart and good at math, and I don't know. Like, and we've seen all the sci-fi movies, but the intent really wasn't there. And the reason why Facebook stopped these bots is that they just weren't speaking English. They were meant to kind of see if these bots could one day speak with humans in English or in a language that humans would understand. And when they couldn't do that, they just shut it down, and they ended up making ones that did. So they were effectively too dumb to make it through into production.
Or they were afraid. And what would you do if you're afraid of that code? You shut it down. No, I'm sorry. I'm feeding into it. What this kind of reminded me or made me think of is that there must be an application for that, though. Like Facebook shut down this chatbot that suddenly, has figured out how to created its own language, is talking a language that we don't understand, which doesn't necessarily make it a bad thing. It just makes it not perfect for the application that Facebook had going on. But have you heard of anyone working on this aspect of AI specifically, and what kind of a use case it might actually have? Like what that might actually be beneficial for, having AI create its own language? It's got to be beneficial for something.
So these languages actually come out all the time. The whole point of AI is to reduce complexity in the human world. It's taking an image and turning it into the word apple. If it's an apple or an image of an apple, it's taking our speech, which is like what they call very highly dimensional data, like an audio file, and it turns it into simple words. So what this AI was doing is it was taking these ideas that it had learned through human speech and just reducing the complexity. But it just didn't reduce it to the right complexity. It didn't reduce it into the right things. It hadn't learned English correctly. So this actually emerges all the time, and it's just kind of a dead end. And these representations exist like totally behind closed doors. Like the machine, when it's thinking about what a problem is, it doesn't think in English. It thinks in a long string of numbers. It's kind of a misrepresentation of that string of numbers.
So I read in the Fast Company article that the programmers made a mistake, like that they should have put some line of code in there that gave the bots a reward for, speaking regular English. Was that accurate?
Yeah. Yeah, so what the researcher told me is that they wanted to see if they can do it completely, without any prompt. If English itself was enough of a reward, because it was the most effective way of communicating, and it turns out that it wasn't. Maybe it was something that they needed to tweak in the algorithm or add that line of code. I'm not really sure about that, but it was clear that in this test, the bots found maybe a more efficient way to haggle. If they both recognize that over iteration that the letters I mean I want 2 apples and you can have 1 banana. I mean, that's a more effective way of getting something done.
I mean, isn't that the way human language works as well? Like we're always abbreviating things and speaking,
Totally.
saying,
Yeah.
I mean, that's how our kids like are, evolving by texting and
LOL.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly. It's like totally slang. It's kind of a natural evolution of language in a way, but the bots are just doing it, since they're running thousands and thousands of processes, just doing it really quick.
So when it comes to AI taking over, are you more Team Zuckerberg or Team Elon Musk?
I am Team Zuckerberg, I guess. I think that there are definite things that we need to watch out for with AI. It gives the ability to scale. The biases that are found already in our society to make, when you can make decisions at the speed and scale of a computer, there's things that you need to think about. Who's in charge of making those decisions? What data do we give it so that it learns? What, ethics code does the machine have when it's operating in a way that we would expect it to? So I think those questions are a lot more pressing than the potential eventuality that we crack the code for learning and we can have this kind of super intelligence boom that I don't really see a lot of work going towards. People are quietly working on it, but I think a lot more is theory right now.
Well, Dave, thank you so much for joining us. Dave Gershgorn is a reporter at Quartz. Mike Murphy said he calls you the Gersh, but you don't really like it, so we
yeah,
won't.
I've been called the Gersh from time to time, but I don't take it personally.
I knew it.
Thanks so much for joining us. You can find all of Dave's work at QZ.com. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks.
Take care. Have a good night.